quite nervous that there's an important client coming just now, and I've got to clean up, so excuse me. Like I said, it's an important client, and it'll be, it's actually going to be my first project, if the negotiations go well. I believe that the client's looking for a dining room suite, apparently a dining room table. She wants mahogany, and I think we're going to be 8 chairs. But we're going to, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, so just excuse me. That might just be neat enough, I don't know. Anyway, okay. Getting ready for these life negotiations, it kind of takes me back a bit. I think I told you, I spent some time in a little dorpy called Middleburg, and there they've got I don't know if you know, like in these like little dorpies, you have these like legends, like they get passed down, these stories, people who've lived there. And there's this one guy, I mean, they talk about still today, and he lived there more than 100 years ago, a guy called Seligman. He was one of those guys from Lithuania who came down to Cape Town and then got a little cart and some goods, and he was a smokes. He went through, the Karoo, selling, like a tinker, kind of, a smokes. And eventually he got to Middleburg, and he was quite good. I mean, well, that's the point. I mean, he's legendary in Middleburg because he was, loosely speaking, he was an accomplished sort of businessman. And he was sharp, let's just put it that way. And yeah, so he did well. He bought a farm. He even owned the old hotel that was down near where the old railway station used to be, in Middleburg. It's not there anymore. Anyway, and so the stories about him are like legend, as I said, they're totally legend. I'll just tell you something. So he kind of made his money big. He made it big because during the Boer War, in that time when like Roberts was marching up towards Pretoria, and he was using that mounted infantry. They used a lot of horses. So, and they would ride the horses into the ground, and then they just replace the horses. So Seligman would take those horses, because they're just discarded. So he'd take the horses and he'd rehabilitate them, put them on his farm, and he'd feed them up, and he'd look after them, rehabilitate them, and then sell them back to the British Army. And so he made money out of that. And other things he did, the other things he's kind of well known for. So just after the Boer War, the British bought a farm there just outside Middleburg called Grootfontein. It's where the agricultural school is now, college is now. Anyway, it used to be an army camp. Apparently it was the biggest British garrison outside of Britain for about 10 years. So just after the Boer War, till about Union. Anyway, and they needed dams. So they needed dams to be built. So Seligman tendered, it went out to tender. So Seligman tendered, and he got a tender for one of the dams, and he came in really good price. I mean, way lower than others. He got it. And they were quite surprised, apparently, because after a while, old Seligman brought all his livestock onto Grootfontein. He brought his donkeys, and he brought some cows and some bulls, and he brought a whole lot of sheep. And they were just grazing there on Grootfontein. And eventually the authorities came to him and said, hang on a minute, Seligman, what are you doing here? What's all this? What are your sheep doing here? What's going on here? And Seligman took out the contract and said, look here. It says here that I get free grazing for all my draft animals. Yeah, well, okay, so that's your donkeys and maybe a couple of the bulls, but I mean, what about the rest? He said, no, they're all draft animals. For some time, maybe not long, but for some time I yoke them all, even the sheep, and they'll carry something. They're all draft animals. It's in the fine print. You should read the fine print. I don't know if you got away with it. Anyway, and then there came a stage when he was going to sell the hotel. He decided to sell the hotel. So he had some buyers that were coming from out of town. I don't know, they're coming from Kimberley or, I don't know, Pretoria, I don't know. But they were coming down to buy this hotel. They said they'd come and stay a few days, come out, just see how the hotel was going before they gave him an offer. So for those days, let's say it was 4 days. So for those days, for those nights, he went to the army garrison. He spoke to the officers and the NCOs, the non-commissioned officers, and he said, guys, on these nights, drinks on the house. Just come. And of course, the bar was full. These people came down and saw, this is a roaring trade. And he got a good price, I think. Yeah, and then so Seligman, and also, so I told you about the horses and that. So those horses he rehabilitated. Apparently, he sold one to a farmer, local farmer. And the farmer very soon found out that the horse was blind. So the farmer went back to Seligman and said, no, wait, no, I want my money back, you know, your horse back, this horse is blind, and he refused. So the farmer took him to court. And apparently, in court, Seligman stood up and he said, but, Your Honor, I told the man, the horse, he don't look so good. He was shocked. He was shocked. A bit like the Pharisees. Because they would say, things like this. They'd say look, if you make a vow, you know how to make a vow, I promise you on my mother's life, or on my life, or cross my heart and hope to die. They know that stuff when you make a vow. So the Pharisees said, when you make a vow, if you make a vow on the temple, you can lie. It doesn't count. You can lie. But if you make a vow on the gold in the temple, you better keep the word, because God cares about the gold in the temple, apparently not the temple. Or they said, if you make a vow on the altar, say, I promise you, on the altar, you can lie. But if you make a promise on the gift that's on the altar, you better keep your word, because God cares about the gift and not the altar, apparently. I mean, it's well, you can see how easily and how good that would work in business, making contracts and stuff, And a bit like Seligman, really. And like John. Well, the Master, Jesus, said no. When we make contracts, when we go, we're just in everyday speech, in every moment of our lives, we're not to make vows. Don't worry about being all dramatic and on my mother's life and cross my heart and hope. Don't do that stuff. Just let your yes be yes and let your no be no. Just that simple. In whatever you say, just let your yes be yes and your no be no. And it's just that easy. It's just that straightforward. You don't have to embellish it. None of that. Just there you go. So anyway, that's what we see. Anyway, hang on, sorry. As you no doubt see, it is an important client that's coming. I think it's an important. It's obviously an important client that's coming along, and we do want to make a good impression. No, she's not influential. No. She's not rich, no. Actually, it's just it's just an old lady who she's a widow, got some grandchildren, and she's fallen on hard times, and she's been saving up a lot of money. She's been really working hard at saving up, and she's scraped a lot of money together, and she really wants to, like, treat herself. And she's always had this dream about having this mahogany table, dining room table, and these chairs. So that's what she's going to come and see us about. But the master says that, whether they're rich or poor, we treat them the same. We treat them with respect, and we do our best. And yeah. Sorry? Oh, no. No, we're not going to make. No, we're not making much on this at all. In fact, we've sharpened the pencil so much that we'll be making a loss. But she won't know that. No, please don't say that. No. That's part of the deal. No, she doesn't know that. We won't tell her. I should have asked with my yes. No, but we'll just do it. But we don't want her to know that because she's been saving up. There's a dignity involved here too. So she's been saving up. She doesn't know she hasn't got enough money, but it's fine. The master's more interested in just like her dignity and just loving her and making profit. Yeah, so that's what she asked. So anyway, but still, she's important, and the master then expects, we treat her with dignity and respect. So there we go. The other day, a couple of the apprentices, we were just chatting. It was lunchtime. We were chatting. So we weren't sure. I mean, we didn't know. So because see, like the master said, he said that we shouldn't. He put like this, he said, don't make an oath at all. So we were chatting about it, and we said, okay, well, does that mean like when we go to court? Because, like in court, sometimes they make you say an oath, you know what I mean? Like they say, like, I think you have to say something like, I promise to tell I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Is that right? Have you been to court? Okay, so you've been to court. I determined about it. Anyway, don't worry. So that's cool. Should we do that in court? Are we allowed to? I mean, as apprentices, are we allowed to do that in court? Can we do that? And we weren't sure. So, and then somebody remembered that actually the master himself had been in a situation where he'd been in court, and he'd been with Caiaphas, the high priest, and he had just he was in the dock, and Caiaphas, the high priest, put him under oath. He himself, Jesus, was just silent. He'd been silent the whole sort of court case up to then, and then Caiaphas put him under oath. Caiaphas said, "I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you're the Messiah, the Son of God." So Caiaphas, he put him under oath. And now, of course, Jesus could have just been quiet. He could have just been quiet. And then he wouldn't have responded under oath. But he didn't. He chose to speak. So he did speak under oath. And this is what he said. He said, well, you said so. You said that I'm the Christ, the Messiah. So you said, yeah. And then he went on and he said, from now on, you'll see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven. Amazing thing he said. I don't know. So what he said, because he was asked, are you the Messiah? And he said, yeah, I am the Messiah. In fact, he did it. He said, you said it? Meaning, yep, you got it right. Yeah, I'm the Messiah. And then he said, not only that, but from now on, you'll see the Son of Man coming on the clouds next to the Mighty One. Coming on the clouds of heaven. Of course, he was referring to that prophecy in Daniel in chapter 7 of Daniel, verses 13 and 14, it goes like this. This is Daniel speaking. In my vision at night I looked, and there before me was one like the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence. And yeah, so he's talking about that. He was given authority. The Son of Man was given authority, glory, and sovereign power. Nations and people of every language worshipped him. It's referring to that. His dominion is everlasting. It will not pass away. His kingdom is one that will never be destroyed. So he's actually referring to that. He was saying like, I'm so much more than just the Messiah, just the anointed one. I'm so much more than that. I'm going to be coming as the judge at the end of time, to judge everybody. All nations are going to worship him. He said it under oath. So I guess it's okay, like if we end up in court and, they say, well, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. It's okay to do that. Just let your yes be yes. And let your no be no. Actually, whether you're speaking under oath or not, always let your yes be yes.